This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair calls on City Clerk Ivan Nelson for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles. Here. Councilman Williams.
Here.
Worthy.
Here.
Ackles.
Here.
Billingsley.
Here.
Cannon.
Here.
And Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Keith Williamson to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for the blessings and freedom that you've given us, Lord. I pray that you lead us and guide us, Father. Bless this city, Father, according to your will, Lord. I pray that you grant us your wisdom, guide us, knowledge, and discernment. We give you all thanks. Let us glorify you with all that's said and done. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and city council meeting held on August 25th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payment of accounts for the week of August 21st through the 27th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Proclamations, do we have any today? Unfinished business, the nuisances on property located at 202 Sewell Street have been abated by the owner, therefore no action by the council is needed. This is the time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 201 North 7th Street in District 2. The state of Alabama and F&L Investment Properties being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, I'm Brian Harbison with the Building Department. We started this case in April of 2012. There have been no improvements. There are no permits to improve, and we're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion that we abate the nuisance. Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 725 First Avenue in District 3, Tom Dawson being the last known owner. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started this case, which involves a partially collapsed commercial building, and we started our case in March of 2012. Been no improvements to the property. There are no permits to improve, and we're asking for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to adopt the ordinance. Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 1111 4th Avenue, Apartments A and B in District 5. Nathaniel King and Regions Bank being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started this case in March of 2012. There've been some improvements to the exterior. There was a building permit taken out in May of 2013. Nothing's been done since. We're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that we abate the nuisance.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 1413 Chestnut Street in District 5. The State of Alabama, Quintesia Lachey Jennings, and heirs of Paul L. Woods and Janice F. Woods being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started our case in June of 2012. There have been no improvements. There are no permits to improve. And we're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that we abate the nuisance.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 1417 Chestnut Street in District 5. Ayana Lakili Avery being the last known owner. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started this case in June 2012. Been no improvements. There were a couple of permits taken out in 2012 and one in April of 2014. Other than that, there have been no improvements. We're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that we abate the nuisance.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 1122 Christopher Avenue in District 5. New Covenant Assembly of God and Alabama Teachers Credit Union being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, this case started in September of 2012. There have been no improvements. There was a permit taken out in December of 2012. We're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move that we abate the nuisance.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 1122 Christopher Avenue in District 5.
That's the same.
That's the same one? All right. I'm sorry. The next one is 2301 Chestnut Street in District 6. Tanisa Tillis and the estate of Louis E. Tinsley being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started this case in January of 2012. There have been no improvements, there are no permits to improve, and we're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to abate.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisances on property located at 2408 Hill Avenue in District 6, the state of Alabama, Marvin Cotton, and the estate of Geneva Cotton Amberson being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, this case started in May of 2013. There have been no improvements, there are no permits to improve, and we're asking for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Make a move to abate, please. Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Items 17 through 19 are public hearings, and they're all resolutions assessing nuisance abatement liens against property. This is for demolition that has already been performed, and we have 5 locations. I'm going to read the addresses and names, and anyone who wishes to speak about any of these may come forward. 1427 Forest Avenue in District 3. The amount is $3,931.40, and it's the state of Alabama and Gunville Parker. Item number 18 is 1119 6th Avenue in District 5, $3,707.36, the state of Alabama, SKG QRP LLC, Maud M. Davis, Jerry Davis, Luther D. Abel, Esquire, and Bradley W. Cornett. 2326 Chancellor Avenue in District 6, $3,881.40, Leonard Washington and Sean Jackson. And the next 2 are in District 6 as well. 308 Kaiser Street, $1,856.88, state of Alabama, and Jimmy Lee Owen, care of Shirley Reeves. And 506 Webster Street, $2,556.40, state of Alabama, Terry Mayo and Albie Mayo. If you'll step to the podium and give your name and address, sir.
Terry Mayo, 506 Webster Street. I would like to keep this, but I wonder if I could get some time to pay this $2,500.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to come forward? Okay, Mr. Mayo, in response to your request, I'm not quite sure what, if anything, he'll be able to do at this juncture, because these are all liens against property it's already been abated, but this gentleman is who you would need to speak with.
Mr. President, I'm pretty sure that since on this one here, it's $2,500, whatever the amount is, I think if you'll just see Mr. Harbison afterwards, he could set up some kind of payment range. Is that correct, Mr. Harbison?
That is, but you will need to table this so
What
that the
we'll do
lien
is-
is not actually assessed.
What I'm going to do is, we get down, you're going to put all these are together, right? I'm going to ask that on number 21, 506 Webster, that we table this for 30 days until Mr. Harbison can get this straight with that.
Okay.
Just number 21, 506 Webster Street.
Okay.
Table for 30 days just on that one.
Okay, so we have a motion to table item number 21 and a second. Is there any discussion?
Who's second?
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Eccles, okay.
Okay, is there any additional discussion?
Yes, I would like to tell everyone out there if they would, just once we push the piece of property down and there's a lien on that piece of property, if you'll come and talk to the council or Mr. Harbison, Mr. Harbison, he'll try to work out some kind of payment plan where you could maybe keep that property. We really don't want the property, it's just a piece of property, and we're gonna have to end up trying to sell it again. It'd be a whole lot better if you wanted to keep your property, and pay that money off on that. But if you'll just get with him after, he'll work something out for you, Mr. Mayo.
Okay. So first, we have a motion to table item number 21 and a second. All right, and we've had some limited discussion. Is there any more discussion? All right. For just that item, clerk, would you take the vote?
Okay. Those in favor to table item number 21, 506 Webster Street for 30 days, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to table for 30 days.
Okay. Now, what is the pleasure of the council on items 17 through 20?
Move on it, please.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the remaining 4 liens, resolutions, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to adopt the remaining 4.
Okay. Item number 22 is a resolution awarding bid number 3293 for traffic striping and pavement markers. The purchasing department has recommended awarding the bid to both Ozark Striping Company and Highway Management Systems. The lowest bid will vary depending on the specific items and the quantities needed. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item number 23 is a resolution authorizing incentives for contributions to the United Way. This authorizes the city to provide various incentives for employees who make payroll deductions for contributions to the United Way. Drawings will be held for a selection of eligible employees to receive the incentives. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
That's a program we've been doing. They have to obligate themselves for a year, and I think what they call a fair share is 1 hour's pay each week. But that's what it's for, incentives to try to get them to.
Okay. All right. Is there any additional discussion? All right. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
New business, is there any new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have an item here. It's a request from the legal department, and this is authorizing agreement with Catherine McCord Bailey for indigent defense services in municipal court, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Okay. All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
I move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes, Miss Patricia Granger has been doing this for us. We hired her a few years ago, and we need 2 people because sometimes one of them might not can make it, and we always need to have a public defender at court hearings. So they're going to be split the time 75-25% to Miss Bailey.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Okay. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Is there any more new business? Okay. Department reports, committees, boards.
Mr. President, I was asked to make an announcement about First Friday. It's coming up this week, September the 4th. And the theme for this one is buses, buggies, and Beatles. So there'll be great food and shopping and live music, classic cars, and especially Volkswagens on display. The entertainers are going to be, 3rd and Broad is Lindsay Hinkle, 4th and Broad, Kings of Swing, 5th and Broad, Foggy Hollow, and 600 Block, and also. So everybody come out and enjoy First Friday.
All right. Very good impersonation of Kay Moore. I appreciate that.
Looks better than me.
I don't think you get any arguments. All right. Final item is remarks by the mayor and council. Mayor? Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Councilman Worthy?
I'd just like to announce my community meeting, which will be on the 3rd, this Thursday, at Thompson Community Center at 5:30. 5:30. And also, I'd like to ask the mayor if there's any way we could look at, since we're knocking a lot of these houses down, we can't seem to get investors in here to build, can we look at maybe doing transitional houses, like with a nonprofit group? Can we look at that? I understand it's supposed to be federal dollars out there for that.
As bad as I hate to say it, we have received no money federally or
Well, I'm saying
statewide in a long time. But sometimes if one is not too bad inside, we might do a little rehab on the outside and get a lien and sell the lien to somebody, and they can move in pretty cheap. But we just haven't had many of those lately, have we, Brian? It's all of them, you can see how the inside is.
I would say, Mayor, we're actually in the process of foreclosing on 2 of those this Thursday. So if we can't sell the lien, then in the case of these 2, we will go to court and get a foreclosure deed to it, and that gives us a few more options to dispose of the properties.
Is that the one on Harts and
East Wilkinson.
East Wilkinson? Okay, yeah, those could be good houses or something, yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, I don't think anybody up here is blind to the fact that we're tearing houses down at a much higher clip than we're building them. But the actual construction of new residential properties is a very difficult item to negotiate, because you've got the issue of banks lending money to individuals to maintain and service a mortgage. So that, individuals have to have the ability to service that mortgage, and that's been a problem historically. You've got the issue of developers and their appetite for residential developments in this area. You have to be very, very careful there, because again, we've got to, do something that draws them. And then, of course, you've got that interesting dynamic of building a new home right next to a, 70 or 80-year-old home. And the impact that it has on property values. So there are just a number of things that are out there, but Councilman Worthy's point is valid. I mean, you know, we've got to come up with something creative, and, you know, and I think it's something that we've been talking about for some time.
One extra thing I really need to mention, we had a group from Huntsville came down this week, and they were looking at our rental inspection program, and it's, you know, they have a lot more population. I want to say that 40% of their houses, like I think 80,000, they want to do rental inspections. Brian can speak to it a little more than I can, the numbers. And we're at about 40% too, and I thought that was pretty interesting. It is pretty much nationwide what's going on with that. But they want to model after our rental inspection. They were really impressed, and Brian could give you some more information. You want to say a few things about it, Brian, because you really had the numbers over there on them.
We were actually the second city in the state to adopt the rental inspection ordinance. We were actually the first city in the state to actually begin to enforce it. We have helped 12 other municipalities, some of them very local, adopt similar ordinances requiring that property be inspected for rental purposes. Some, like in the case of Huntsville, their housing stock is not near as old as ours, and so one reason we needed it here, just to help save some of our older housing stock. We had a lot of rental property. When we first started the program, the rental houses were approximately 36% of all the structures in Gadsden. Now we're at 40, a little above, same as Huntsville. So we you know, rental property is growing as far as number, and so I just want to say thank you. Some of the council was actually around a little over 8 years ago when we passed this, and we've been able to save numerous properties. I know we're tearing down a lot, but most of these properties are vacant, have been vacant for a number of years. Anything that is salvageable, we go through the mayor's office and make sure that if we needed to move some money to rehab, we could do that and are willing to do that. Thank you.
I'm a firm believer, if we're not going to invest in our own city, how are we going to get other people to come in here and invest? So we have to start looking at options. You know, we've been talking about it for years. I know y'all have. We've been talking about it since I've been here. So we got to do something. Got to do something.
Okay. All right, Councilman Billingsley?
No comment.
Councilman Cannon?
Thank you. I just want to announce that Monday is Labor Day. I won't be having my meeting in at Community Center this week because the building will be closed. We'll have it the next month. I just wish everybody a happy and safe Labor Day.
Councilman Reed?
Yeah, I did want to say something about Chief John Morris, who passed away the first of this week. He was here as a chief for 10 years. He did an excellent job. In fact, he started the accreditation in the police department and such programs as cops. But anyway, to Ellen and the children, we did want to say that today. And I got to explain why I don't have a telephone number that people keep calling me. AT&T, in their infinite wisdom, left me out of the phone book about 3 or 4 years ago. Then they came back, and when you call me, they give my number, and then the old number, and say it's disconnected, then you get the new number, it's the same number. Then they left me out of the phone book again. So then I got a new number, and they put me in there as Robert, no address, the wrong telephone number. So folks, my telephone number is 256-328-2958. Everybody in town's got it. But I did want to do this because now I got a new phone book and I'm in there as Robert with the wrong phone number. If that makes any sense.
I don't know whether you've got an enemy or a friend.
I won't rebut that one.
All right.
Watch it there, Harris. Anyway, I am going to put it in the paper and just get me a little tiny ad in there, get my telephone number for a year anyway. Anyway, appreciate it.
All right. Just a couple other items. Do want to publicly, and I've got to attend a family reunion with my mother this weekend, so I'm trying to stay in the wheel and on her good graces. My parents celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary on yesterday, so I do want to congratulate them on putting up with each other for 45 years, and do want to recognize that for them. I also have a beautiful little niece who just turned 3 on this morning, Mallory Carter. So I just want to wish her publicly a happy birthday. And I don't know if I had anything to do with this, but there is a new politician in our family. My daughter, Sydney, who's a senior at Gadsden City High School, was elected the senior class vice president just this past week. So I want to publicly recognize her. Yeah, she's a whole. I probably didn't really, but she's a whole lot better looking politician than I ever can hope to be. And she's a good one, actually. She's a very good kid. I'm proud of her. I don't know. I think one of the things that I bring to politics is somebody who's not really married to any special interest. I think that's something that me and the mayor both kind of are proud of, and I'm really proud of it because it allows us to kind of do our jobs and not really worry about what other people are going to say. And you've heard me say before that if you're up here for the money, then something's wrong with you, because this job doesn't pay enough to really drive that level of interest. But I want to talk a little bit about gun control. There's been a lot of incidents that have happened here over the last few years. I mean, and it's touched just about every element of our community. We've got police officers that have been gunned down. We've got individuals that have been gunned down. We've got churches that have been invaded and gunned down. And we now have a local county group that's actually discussing security in their courthouse. And it's in large part due to a lot of the incidents that are occurring throughout the country. And when you look at this state in particular and where we are relative to education, mental health, and the proliferation of gun ownership, our dynamics, as I've said before, present a recipe for disaster. There are some common sense things that can be done politically to reduce the instances of gun violence, while at the same time protecting our Second Amendment rights. So that tends to be the big argument, that the Second Amendment rights are under attack, and if you do some of these things that are very common sense solutions, that you impede on the Second Amendment rights. But I disagree with that. I think, again, there's some very common sense things that can be done while protecting our Second Amendment rights. We're letting zealots and those who profit from gun sales set the gun policy in this country. And the proverbial, that's essentially the proverbial fox guarding the hen house, essentially. And I think at this point, we can't continue to stand by and let this happen. We've got to speak up as a community. We've got to speak up and talk about ways to keep guns out of the hands of bad people. Gun ownership is something that is a right in this country, and I agree with that. You're looking at one. All right? You're looking at somebody who just this weekend walked into a gun shop and purchased a handgun. But now let me tell you about that experience. While I was there, I listened to a young lady who said, don't show me any handguns because I've got a bad attitude and I don't need one. I had to sit there and listen to that. Now, how unsettling was that, to be in a gun shop and listen to someone brag about the fact that they have a bad attitude and really don't need a gun? At the same time, she was holding one in her hand, So, very disturbing. I saw a little bit of everything. Saw a gentleman who was there to buy a gun because he lives on a golf course and he wanted to take care of the geese that were getting in his backyard. Just unbelievable of the kinds of things that our current laws allow to happen. And in just about all of these instances, there were people, and a good number of them, I can't say exclusively, but a good number of the individuals in these violent instances that have happened in our country, a good number of those people should not have been able to walk into a gun shop or to a store and purchase a gun. A good number of them shouldn't have passed the background check. There was one in particular that was expedited through the process because they couldn't make a decision within the 48-hour period, so they went ahead and granted the license. It's scary, folks. It's scary, and we're getting desensitized to it. That's why I'm spending so much time talking about it. I mean, really, we're getting desensitized to it. It's gotten to the point now to where we ooh and ah about it for a day or two, and then we move on to the next thing. And it's really scary. So I want to encourage everybody here to take it upon yourselves to make this an issue. Let's talk about it. I'm not talking about taking away people's rights to purchase and bear arms. I'm talking about addressing the control issue. I'm talking about keeping guns out of the hands of bad people. And that's all I'll say about that. I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Derrick, I want to say one in response to that. My gun is never going to kill anybody, ever, but I might. And when I get mentally off, then I think somebody should do something to me. But I'm going to say again, that gun laid out here, if I put it on the counter right now, ain't going to do nothing. But if I pick it up and being mentally unstable, then you got a problem. And I think that's the root of it. That in politics. And politics is about 95% of all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
All right.